I picture you just like being in the water and staring at the water. Like just like,
honestly,
just
that's 90% of it. Is just I just enjoy being in there, just kind of dancing around with the waves.
Man, like most of our body's made out of water, man. So I am the ocean.
I am the ocean.
Spend enough time sitting in the sun, you'll start saying stuff like that too.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. I'm your host, and joining with me are Lou and Mike.
Hey,
what's up?
We usually like to start it off with a fun, silly question. This week's questions come from a good friend of mine, Trainer Cantwell, which we talked about a little on the show. They're going to kind of be quick, so we're going to hit up all three. First question is bungee jump or skydive?
Oh, that's a great question.
If it wasn't, well, I guess the weight comes in the factor for either. I'd say skydiving then, because I don't trust that little rope to come back up with me falling down at speed of gravity.
Am I skydiving bungee jump, or I have a dude?
I think you can be in tandem or free fall. It's up to you.
I think skydive for sure.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I think the skydive would be more thrilling in the fall, but I think the getting pulled back up of bungee jumping sounds really fun. Gosh, I mean, it's a coin toss. I'm going to say bungee jump, but
just to be different.
I mean, it was my first instinct. They both just sound like so much fun. We'll have to test them both out and see which one's better.
There we go. We'll do a tax write-off. Next one is, have you guys ever had a strange deja vu moment?
Dude, all the time, but they're never exciting.
Does one come to your head right at the...
The most vivid one was my parents had a small group barbecue. I just had like the most vivid deja vu of like standing on the driveway waiting for them to be ready to go. They're doing the whole Michigan goodbye thing, and it was very specifically like the way the lights were coming out of the pool, and I was like, okay, I know, like, and this happens to me so often where I'm like, I distinctly remember having this dream, but it's like I know it's deja vu, but it feels so real. And also it's like, even if it, like, let's say I am having prophetic dreams, how freaking boring is that? Mm-hmm. That I just like, so I'd rather it be deja vu than have it be like I actually did dream this moment in the past, and now it's happening and it's super lame. That'd be like the world's worst superpower.
Yes, that's why my superpower. I have premonitions, but they're the most mundane things ever.
I'm gonna have white bread on my sandwich in 5 years.
How about you, Lou? You have any premonitions or deja vu?
Yeah, deja vu for me. I spent a lot of time in the grocery store picking up groceries for people and stuff. And it's usually when like a series of things happen. So like an old lady doesn't know where to put her card in the reader. And then a kid is crying in the corner. And then behind me, somebody's arguing about the price of milk. One coworker is talking to another coworker about some other coworker. Like that like mixture of things. I feel like I get deja vu like constantly. Like the Final Destination. Do you remember those movies?
I know the premise.
Fantastically mediocre films.
I don't know where I thought that was going to go.
Expect to get. I didn't.
Aggressively medium, those movies.
Just mid.
Not just mid. I mean, they're like peak mid.
They hit when I was a child. I don't know how they are now.
Wasn't there like 7 or 8 of them?
There's a ton. I guess I can really. I saw the first one, and I assume they didn't get much better as they went on.
You cannot judge a whole series if you just watched one of them, 1 out of 8.
That's true, but I've watched a lot of series, and they rarely get like. I can't think of a single series with like 8 movies that just gets better and better and better as it goes. You might get 1 or 2 that are better than the first one, but when there's that many, it's like, okay, we're milking for content at this point.
Yeah, like Saw it just went kind of downhill. There's a few bumps, but it's mostly downhill after the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first Saw is not as good as Saw 2 or Saw 3. And then the same for like 3. Marvel movies. Marvel movies got better.
I'll give you a Marvel
movie.
Get better.
But that's still, you have the advantage of having like 57 characters to work with. Like if they had to make 8 Iron Man movies, honestly, they probably still could do it because there's such a backlog, but it would be a lot harder to make all of them good.
Well, most people didn't like Iron Man 2 and 3, right?
I believe not.
I was iffy.
But that's kind of my point, though. It's like, now do you want to sit through 4, 5, and 6, and 7 and 8?
I've never seen, much to the surprise of most people, I have not seen any Iron Man movies. So
honestly, even the first one, you're not missing out on that much. It was fun.
Really? I feel like everyone's like gives me like a
No.
gasp look, a shocked look when I tell them. So
It's because people act like Marvel is something like, I don't know. I have really bad superhero fatigue.
I think
But,
most people do at this point.
Yeah, I've had it. I quit at like Guardians 2. I was like, I cannot keep doing this. If it's not Spider-Man, leave me alone. But yeah, I think it's because it's the first of the Avengers movies. People remember it as being better than it is. All that to say, Lou, what were you saying about Final Destination?
Oh, I'm sorry. I started.
No,
this
that was
tangent.
100% my fault.
So like when something happens, right?
Oh,
and
deja
it's like
vu.
a tangent of things. Yeah, deja vu. And so you get that like that tangent of like the plane is crashing, but like before the plane crashes, other people
Yeah, he
are doing
sees all
other
the things.
and then the plane crashes.
Yeah.
That's how I get when I'm like at the grocery store. It's like I've seen the same people complain about the price of meat hundreds of times, and it deja vu's me all the time.
For me, probably the most like premonition deja vu thing I had, it was my first year senior staff. At some point I had this dream where I knew I was at camp and I was surrounded by friends, and like we were watching something on the computer, and like it was this this game where some person aimed down their sight, and for some reason like that scene just stuck with me in my dream. Then like some months later I was at camp, and we were sitting on the couch watching E3 back when that was a thing. And it was a trailer for the first Killzone that came out on PlayStation 3. And he aimed down his sights, and it was like the same exact sight and things I saw. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So a little less mundane, but nothing special. I mean,
Rob can predict scenes, one scene per trailer per 10 years.
Yep, per console generation.
And most of those trailers didn't even make it to the actual game.
Yeah, for E3. The last question we have from Trainer Cantwell is, how far is too far?
So it's one of those, you know how like with comedy, like it can stop being funny for a little bit and then it can become funny again if you just stick with it long enough. So I'd say if you go far enough south that you hit Ohio, you've gone too far. But if you persist until you hit Kentucky, then it's good again. It's not a matter of far. It's just a matter of whether or not you're in Ohio.
If you guys want,
I could say anything more profound than that.
Yeah, for real. I was trying to think of something, but then he went to Ohio because I was also going to make a geographical location joke, but then you kind of wrapped it all up. If you guys want to ask us any questions, feel free to reach out on our socials. You can find us on Twitter/X and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and we'll read them on the chat if we think they're good.
Or if we think they're really, really bad.
That's true.
We now have breaking news.
We do have some breaking news. There has been an infection. There's been an infection of toppers that have broken out in Purdue, Canada. It's a whole 10 of them. It's catching on up there. That's like a solid percentage of our listenership. So,
right.
Shout out to Saskatchewan, just north of North Dakota. So I mean, maybe my influences brought it out there, but that is our toppers hot zone of the week. It's Purdue, Canada.
I like that.
Ooh, I like that a lot. That's pretty cute. Yeah, shout out to
I would like to make a statement. I'm not expecting to win the vote or anything, but I would like to officially stand in protest against the term toppers.
Lucius ran with it, so I was just going with it.
I'm not going to do your thing. To quote the great Travis Kelce, you want to talk your pimp. I
don't think Travis Kelce was the first person to say that.
I don't either.
The person that first said that they date Taylor Swift didn't think so. Bam! Mic drop. Podcast out.
Okay. So
hey, look at that! Just from saying that, we're on trending now.
What up, though? This is Rob. Just want to let you know this podcast is sponsored by a Twitter/X account. Whatever it's called. Follow us on the Must platform for any new updates. Also, feel free to add us and ask us any questions you may be wondering. You can find us at _top_podcast. The first 10 people who follow us will be our favorite fans for the week. Once again, that's the top podcast _ between each word. Follow us and send us the flaming hot takes you've been dying to share with people. Peace out. This week, the topic I chose was top 5 fantasy realms, and I have 2 caveats. The first caveat, which I said in air, is you're only allowed one alternative Earth. And then the second caveat, which I thought of later because I figured this would most likely be in our top 5, is if you pick a Pokemon, a world in Pokemon, you have to pick a region specific. For my first one, I kind of went a little different than how I planned out the rest of my list. Most of my list is based on what places I could live as like a normal human being and, find safety, but also have like a job and work. I don't want just a utopia because I feel like after a while I'd get bored. Like we said before on the podcast, if I go 2 weeks without any schedule, my life just like falls apart. So this one though was as a kid, only child, a single parent. I was home a lot, and that's just kind of how life works. And I spent a lot of time escaping into the world of Legends of the Ocarina of Time. There's the whole Hyrule there. I would make up stories, and Link was interacting with this person, but he had to go make a delivery there, and just make up some stupid stories that I never went anywhere. And I really would not want to live there, especially like during the times of like Ganon and Ganondorf and all that. But I felt like I wouldn't be true to myself if I left off the list. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, the little 7-year blip on the radar looked really unpleasant.
Yeah, maybe if I was in like what is it, Kakariko Village of the Kokiri Forest, that probably wouldn't be too bad. Well, Kokiri Forest also gets invaded.
Yeah,
so
there's nowhere safe.
But I love Zora's Domain as a kid, like just going there as kid Link, young Link. Oh my gosh, I love the all the water and then just the music. I thought it was perfect.
The music that game had such great atmospheric tracks. Like the Forest Temple is still one of my all-time favorite dungeons, and it's at least 50% just because of how good the theme for that dungeon is.
I always like
and all the free money though would be nice too.
That is nice, but
that's true.
At what point does inflation start to kick in?
I feel like nobody else knows about it except for
just Link. You have to have a piece of the Triforce to get it. Let's say if you did cut grass and you got money out of it, would lawn service then be a free? Would it be free for people? Like if you were a lawn mowing company, like you used to do, Lou, would you just take whatever money you found cutting the yard and you take that as your paycheck, or would you still make them pay for it?
I would still make them pay for it. It's not like when I found, like, if I ever found a $5 bill cutting a lawn, I wouldn't say, oh, I guess this $5 bill is paid for.
Yeah. Like, not taking it off their bill.
See, I'd almost charge people to cut my lawn at that point. I'd be like, look, you come, we split the take.
I guess it depends on how, like, money fertile your lawn is.
That's true.
That's your point. Yeah, it doesn't seem like anybody else knows that there's just cash everywhere. And then the only issue is that if you accidentally hit a chicken, you'll just get massacred.
Well, one time isn't
only
bad.
in the new games, or is it?
That goes.
I think that goes.
That goes back farther than Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I think it goes.
That started in Link to the Past.
Yeah.
All right.
The Cocos, is that what they're called?
So many times can you hit a chicken before?
That freaked me out as a kid. Like that little cutscene they played. I'm just like, oh no, I've made a mistake.
And this is where Rob knew he f***ed up.
Yep. Sometimes I do it just to see how long I could run around and not die.
Is that why like Skyrim is like that too? Do you think they like pulled a page from Zelda?
I mean,
can't hit a chicken.
Well, I mean, I think it's just that's someone's livestock, and because you can't hit a cow either. So I think it just has to do that you're damaging someone's property, so you get in trouble. There was a time though, like early on in the game, where there's a bug where the chicken could actually report you for a crime. So that could have been like it. Chicken's just like, I just saw this man murdering people.
But that's hilarious.
For my number 5, I went with the Johto region of Pokemon.
Good choice.
Yeah, I agree. I think Johto is one of the more laid back and just peaceful regions. There's a less of a focus on big cities, which is very much in alignment with what I like. I'm not a big city kind of guy. Anything over 3 stories, and I'm like, get that out of here. I think Gen 1 and 2 Pokemon have always been my favorite. I like the later gens. I'm not a full-on Gen 1er, but there's a little bit of that in my DNA. So for that reason, I would definitely pick it. And then just at the end of the day, it's like everybody kind of sucks at Pokemon in these games. So you don't really have to worry about money. You just go out, beat a couple of cool trainers and make a bunch of cash and you're set, and you can just kind of do whatever you want. Plus, you can take the bullet train, day trip to Kanto, kind of a cheat, but it's an option. Definitely one of the reasons I think I would enjoy the most.
Problem with all that money is if I was a kid and having that, I would have so much candy. I'd be like 600 pounds. Like I can't go out and train anymore. It's too many steps. I'll just take this candy right here.
My first gambling experience was Pokemon for sure. I think that's where a lot of my money would go.
That's true. The casinos, and they just let 10-year-olds in there.
Right. I played the slots one time in Red and Blue, and it's like, no, this is a waste of my money, and would just buy chips. I would just grind, and then I'd just be like, all right, we got enough money to just like 10 coin increments at a time.
There was a way that if you got in the right rhythm, you could basically win every time in Red and Blue. That's how I got my Polygon.
Oh,
Porygon,
nice.
Sorry. Porygon, not Polygon.
Very cool. They're like I'm surprised that like how pit bosses, they like bring people out.
Yeah, there wasn't like a Machamp.
And like kick them out of the casino.
Machoke just waiting behind me, choked me out.
Pictured I'm a choke in a
It's like a
no
Italian
shirt, a
choke.
blazer, and a chain.
Sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we have any artists
The
out
door
there,
hat with the feather in it.
yeah. If we have any artists out there and you draw that, we'll retweet it on our socials. We'll spread the love. And behind them, behind Machoke is Squirtle with the glasses on. Be like,
Right.
you f***ed up, kid. That was before. That was when Squirtle was still in his gangbanger days. So.
Shout out to Squirrel, man. People don't give him enough credit being an ex-game banger. My number 5, pretty basic. I think it's because I'm playing. Oh, my bad. I even forgot to say this. So when I started this, all of my favorite fantasy worlds were just different Earths. So I had a really hard time trying to figure out which one to pick. I also wanted to be a basic dude, but I thought it'd be funny if I was just a bread baker. So I picked the worlds where I could be the best bread baker possible. So my number 5 is Faerun. So I was looking through different cities. If you don't know what Faerun is, it's D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. And so I picked Silverly Moon. It's a small little quaint city. It looks beautiful. It really looks like a really cool place to bake bread.
Did you just look on a map? Because I would understand I guess most people that know what Faerun is know Baldur's Gate, Waterdeep. But where's this silver whatever? I've never heard of it.
I just looked up different worlds. Me neither. And so I just looked up different worlds in D&D and places to best places to live. And Silverly Moon was the one that popped up.
Yeah.
It's northwest Faerun.
I mean, that's
Looks
fair.
like a little hobbit town. Yeah. I don't know if you guys are looking at it right now, but
I'm not.
just like a chill little spot.
So,
I love that being able to where's the best place where I can bake bread is the way you decided that cracks me up.
We were talking about do you get the main character's powers? And you said yes. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be the main character. The main character never has a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
If they do, most likely the person that they're having the most fun with will die. So it's I don't want my wife and kids murdered while I go out and try to save the world. I'm just out here just trying to bake some bread.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we'll see if you have any sci-fi, but I feel like baking bread in the sci-fi universe would be quite easy.
Yeah, no sci-fi.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of lazy. Well, I was thinking in Star Wars, you never see do you ever see food?
At least in episode 2 with that horrid Anakin Padme CGI scene. And there's blue milk in episode 4 and they eat.
Oh, there is blue milk. But there's no fresh baked foods. I do remember that.
On Naboo, I think there was. I think it was kind of like a pear or something. I don't know. The CGI was so bad.
I also think it's a pear, so I think since 2 of us remember it as a pear, it definitely must be accurate.
I'm interested to see if you put Westeros on here for their baking bread is one character's all he wants to do is bake bread, hot pie. If you
bake bread and then he baked that wolf or whatever.
Yeah, he baked a wolf for Arya. Took me a second.
Behind the scenes, that's the inspiration of this of my picks.
Call him Hot Pie Lou.
That's what I got the idea.
So my number 4, I think this would probably be number 1 on my wife's list. But I have to say the world from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I think, if I could not be a main character but still be a bender, that'd be freaking awesome. Especially depending on what time period. If you're part of the Fire Nation, you're pretty safe for the most part. So if not if you're an airbender though. So I just think that'd be cool, having one of the elements at my control. And honestly, being Avatar for the most part doesn't seem too bad. It's a fantasy world, basically stylized middle centuries or middle. I don't know what the word.
Old Japan. It's classical Japan.
Yeah. So it's not like ancient because you think ancient Greece and it's not that old, but classical Japan. You think of the shogun, the emperor, and all that kind of stylized thing, and it's just a very beautiful world. And that's probably because it's animated. The one live action movie they did of that did not look too great. So we'll see if Netflix can right the wrongs there. But I just think it'd be a fun world to be in, especially as a bender. And if you're not in Ba Sing Se, but there's no war in Ba Sing Se, so I guess you're safe.
There was I don't remember how it happened, but with Mackenzie's side of the family, there was somebody got Secret Tunnel stuck in their head, and then they started singing it, and they got it stuck in everyone else's head. And it's a catchy enough little song that basically for a month, somebody would have it stuck in their head, and the rest of us would have been like, I finally got the song out of my head. And the one person, Secret Tunnel. Yeah, just secret tunnel. At one point, I found a 10-hour version of the song on YouTube and just like texted it to everybody. But they all had I had an old phone and they all had like video preview, so they all knew what it was. It didn't work at all. But yeah, that will forever be the thing I think of now. Like you say Airbender, I'm like, Zoku had a really good storyline. Secret tunnel. Like it is completely.
You try to rickroll people with Secret Tunnel.
There we go.
I 100% did.
The anime.
That's what
anime rickrolling.
I don't know about the whole anime situation. I think you should slow down on that.
You're right. It was animated by an American company, stylized after anime. So animated rickroll. How's that, Mr. Purist over here?
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate the respect.
Everybody knows the best anime is Batman the Animated Series. So
I think it's Coco Melon, honestly. Very compelling.
Coco Melon.
Is your daughter still on a... Well, no, she moved to Mario, right? Instead of off of Coco Melon to Mario.
She is off of Coco Melon because Mackenzie got so fed up with it and just made an active choice to just like, you're not doing this anymore. And eventually she just moved on.
How many times have you seen the Mario movie?
Oh, gosh. Me, 4. I'll bet you money Mackenzie has seen it several more times than I have. All right. My number 4, I didn't care. I didn't specifically think I want to bake bread, but I did think, man, I don't want to be the main character. And I just want to be really, really comfortable. And so my number 4 is Isle Delfino from Super Mario Sunshine, which, as much as I can tell from a game I've played about 37 minutes of, is a tropical paradise 99% of the time. And even when it gets covered in sludge, really doesn't look that bad. And I went to Mexico with my dad this past winter and some other family members on my dad's side. I just love being on, tropical beach, catching waves, and just there's something just like, I'm not normally a hippy dippy type of person, but when you spend enough time in the ocean, you almost can't help but just like saying stuff like
free love, man.
I mean, not quite that point, but like one of my favorite things to do is to go out in the waves and just kind of like, it's almost like you're dancing with them, because the way the waves break at the place where we stay is they basically crash straight over. And so you have to understand how they work, because you either need them to break far enough away from you that you just kind of get splashed by the foam, or you need to be close enough that you can either swim up the front or dive at the base, and it'll crash past you and you can dodge it. If you get stuck in those waves while they're breaking, you're just gonna get messed up. I noticed I started thinking like, okay, the waves, like I started almost giving a personhood to the water. Where I was like,
how many shots of tequila in was this?
Oh, straight sober. Like you'd be, working against a wave and it'd be like, man, it really wants to pull me under. It's like, the ocean isn't alive. It's just physics. I know it's just physics, but you almost can't help it. It is so big and it's so vast, and like, I don't know. For me, even as somebody who can't stand, more mystical stuff, was just like, I see how people could have got there just from being around the ocean. It's a breathtaking and just majestic thing to be in that much water. When you tack on tequila and cervezas and, Mexican food and the weather, yeah. I think I'd be okay in Isle Delfino. I don't know if they have Mexican food in Isle Delfino, but I'm going to just,
There's a lot of fruit.
I mean, I like fruit. Tropical fruit is a lot better than Michigan fruit.
Oh, I don't know. I really like an apple over a pineapple. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Also, Michigan cherries, fantastic.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying fresh tropical fruit. I've never had anything in the fruit department that topped it. I do love a good apple, though.
I guess I haven't had fresh tropical fruit, but I like the more, non-tropical fruits in general, which pineapple does deserve to be on pizza, though. I will say that straight up. And if you disagree, we might have to find a new podcast. What were you saying, Luke?
Deserves to be on bad pizza. I think pineapple deserves to be on bad pizza. I agree.
Yep.
But like, pineapple does not deserve to be on like artisan brick oven solid Italian pizza. But I don't.
I've never,
but like on a Domino's pizza, I'll totally eat one.
I can't say I've had like probably a really authentic Italian pizza, but I still think it'd be good on anything. It's just that's adds the sweetness to the savory flavors of the tomato and all that.
That's what basil's for.
Oh, back to your pick though. One genius pick. I did so much research and I loved what is it called? The Delfino. I love playing that game, Mario Sunshine. So great pick.
Well,
and then two, I picture you just like being in the water and staring at the water.
Honestly, that's 90% of it. Is just I just enjoy being in there, just kind of dancing around with the waves.
Man, like, most of our bodies made out of water, man. So I am the ocean.
I am the ocean.
Spend enough time sitting in the sun, you'll start saying stuff like that too. I
Legalize it,
man.
Man.
To do with
Legalize it.
I can see you like going in the water and then playing in it and then coming back and then like writing a short story about it. Like. I don't know if that's like close, but
I will say we went on this fishing trip. We didn't catch a single fish, but riding on the way back, it was really cool because the sun set. You still have like, I don't know, you still have this glow even after you can't see the sun. And so the water goes from like beautiful blue to just jet black, but you get this really blood red kind of creeping over the horizon still. And it just like sprinkles across the tips of the water's never still. So at the peaks of those just kind of little ripples would get this blood red over this ink black, and it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. It was just to see the ocean change from just wow, this is beautiful and crystal clear to like this thing's terrifying is also really interesting. And yeah, the ocean's crazy, man.
I'll stick to the Great Lakes, but you can have my part of the ocean.
Yeah, sold.
Just like what happened to Mike? Oh, he just started walking out in the ocean saying he was a part of it, and we never saw him again. Mike is Scuba Man.
Is that not a Little Dicky, but which one is that?
No, that's a camp reference.
Yeah, that was a Scuba Man's camp.
Oh, that is a camp reference.
It is a banned camp reference.
I thought they unbanned
Is the Bearfish banned too?
Did they?
It was, but I thought they unbanned it. But I know they, so I believe next summer is supposed to be like a more fantasy setting or like adventure setting. So they did like an old timey map. And I believe they put like a bearfish on it just for as an Easter egg.
So my number 4, I got to represent the anime. So I got 2 anime worlds on here. My
Batman and Avatar?
The Great Cleric. Is every time I say anime, is that just like an instant response?
I'll keep adding more and more until cause that laugh was fantastic. It was like I'm dying inside. So we'll see how long it takes to break you.
It was like the Indiana Jones. You son of a bitch.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
You said the
Cleric.
World of Clerics? What was it called?
No. It's called the Great Cleric. So it's called the Great Cleric. It's an isekai. If you don't know what an isekai is, I just looked this up. It's literally a translation of another world. So the general idea is that you get killed in like on Earth, and then instead of dying and going to heaven or hell or whatever you believe in, you go into a different world and you get reborn. And so in this isekai, he was a salesperson and he gets shot, I'm pretty sure. And instead of dying, he decided he went to another world. And I looked it up and I could not find what this world was called. And so I'm just going to call it the Great Cleric world. But the idea is super simple. He's a cleric. He turns into a cleric. I love clerics. I think it's my favorite D&D class. But the cool thing about this is that he gets a menu screen that can see your stats. And I think like if I got to do that, I would be like so much fun. So like he'll do a healing and then he'll see himself level up. And if I was a bread baker, I can see my level of bread baking and as many like dinner rolls that I make is my XP. And I think that would just like push me to be just like the best bread baker in the world. It's just to see how much experience points I get.
That cooking skill leveling up.
My skill level, yeah.
Luke, correct me if I'm wrong. Were you on a football team with Cody?
No.
I
know Cody.
Okay.
No, he went to a different school.
Oh, okay. Got it. I don't know why that's why I made the connection. I once got a text message from him. He was like, dude, it'd be so cool if the world worked like video games, where if you just did something with the skill enough times, you just leveled up and got better at it. I was like, Cody, that's exactly how the world works.
And then that's when he decided he wanted to be a chef.
I think he decided before that. That was what came to mind when you were like, I could see my baking stat. I just like pictured Cody being like, I wish the world worked like this.
So like, yeah, like that idea. I think the reason why I don't like consistently work out sometimes is because I don't see like the progress immediately. If I could see that like that XP just like coming up every time I do a curl or a bench, I would be in the gym like all time.
Right?
It would
Get
be
that
super
instant
sick.
feedback.
Did I just hear an app idea?
Yeah, and then like I guess maybe that's actually a pretty decent idea.
I mean, it
My
doesn't
wife
actually
has
have to mention
a
anything.
running app where zombies.
Yeah, it's like the audio thing, right? You put earbuds in.
Yeah. She has like zombies chasing her, and she has to do a supply run. And so like every time she like has headphones on, and she'll hear like this like British guy saying the zombies are close to you. You have to run faster.
Yeah, I think I used that one time back when I ran a little bit. One thing I'd be curious, but I also wouldn't want to see would be my base stats, because I'm sure I'd be disappointed by them. I think I'd be higher up, but then
can't be negative.
I
Well,
have always been
average.
really curious about that.
My charisma is probably like a 7 or 8. Definitely. I wouldn't say I'm average at charisma.
Out of
I guess for
7,
20,
8
so 10 is average
100?
in D&D. Oh gosh, I mean maybe, but yeah. So I don't like. I would think maybe like strength and constitution would be my highest, or intelligence. I don't know, but I'd probably just be disappointed no matter what I saw on that list.
yeah, I mean like the difference with D&D is that you can't necessarily up them unless you take your ability, unless you like take a feat or you take the other one. What do you call it? Ability
Modify,
Improvise?
like
You know what I'm talking
increase.
about?
Yeah, skill increase.
Increase, yes, but like
Shout out to my wife for
Exactly,
bringing me
yeah,
a beer
so-
so I didn't have to get up and take my headphones off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Thanks for being an enabler.
It's one beer.
what kind of beer?
It's always starts with one
Coors.
beer.
That's true. It is a Coors Banquet, the official beer of Johnny Lawrence and Cobra Kai.
Is it the champagne of beer?
No, that is Budweiser. What is the champagne of beers? It's like it is not. I'm gonna look that up now.
Mike, did you finish Cobra Kai or catch up to the?
I believe I am up to date. Miller High Life is the champagne of beers. Apologies to really Miller High Life for thinking it was Budweiser. That's on me. I need to do better.
Sometime later.
Well, that was a roller coaster of conversation there. I don't even know how we got to Cobra Kai. Oh, because you got
I
the beer.
interrupted to shout out Mackenzie.
Yeah, Mackenzie. Thanks for getting us sidetracked.
Speaking of,
You know she can't hear you.
she has requested that I make an official redaction to the statement that she watches Schitt's Creek when we talk to underrated TV shows.
Does she not?
No, she does now. She didn't. I was mixed up, but now she does. So I, despite how much she wants to, I will never redact that statement.
Oh,
I'm confused.
You're an adult,
on
do what you want.
What you're trying to say?
Good thing.
oh.
I didn't watch Schitt's Creek. I had watched the first half of the first season a couple times, couldn't get into it. I started watching it because of your podcast. Accept that. Move on. Stop being an ass about it.
Oh.
Language.
Can't believe you say all those words. This is a family show.
My
What would Laura
gosh, this is a
say?
family show.
Physical violence.
What would my mother-in-law think? For my number 3, it's kind of a hot take because it's from the Pokemon world. But I wouldn't even say this generation is my favorite generation. But when I went back to look at like where would it be nice to live, where's there not a team trying to destroy the world? And
Alola?
yes, Alola, because Team Skulls are just punks being punks. They're not trying to, kill all Pokemon, steal our Pokemon. They're just trying to be a nuisance. And I love just how stupid they are. And
They're fantastic.
they are. I love their theme and all that. And they're just the dumb hand motions. I think Alola would be the best place to live because it's been established canonically in the Pokemon world that you can trade like other regions over the internet. I don't know how they got the technology, but like you can do that. So the Pokemon didn't really like the region that you catch Pokemon didn't really make a factor into it. Because I'm like, it's already been established in the world that you can get any Pokemon from anywhere. So I figured, where am I going to have the least resistance for trying to survive? I got Alola. And, it's kind of like the Island Del Reno, whatever, where, you're just going to be kicking it up in a tropical life. It's based off of Hawaii. You got the Island Trials, which would replace gyms, and it just seems like a really chill place and nowhere close to my favorite Pokemon game, but I just feel like that's going to be the most relaxing and most peaceful out of all the regions we've seen so far.
It was a really tight race between Johto and Alola, but I figured I could have Pokemon and Tropical to cover 2 spots, which is basically the only reason I went the way I did.
And that's fair because Johto's in my honorable mentions. So I 100% agree with you and are right there. And like the theme song for that generation is a banger, like "Hey oh, ba-da-da, ba-da-da," something like that, and it gets stuck in my head randomly. I don't know why.
And that was another factor too with Johto. I was like, I feel like that has the second least I stopped after Alola. I haven't played anything past 7. But in the first 7 generations, I felt like the second least threatening area was Johto, and it was we're just trying to get Team Rocket back. You know, you don't have to worry about the world being blown up. They're a little more threatening, but they are kind of running around without a leader.
I think Team Rocket does make an appearance in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, but I haven't played Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, so I'm just going off of the first.
Not either.
Game.
Isn't it every region just on the same world?
I think for the most part, there is
different worlds.
There is a multiple timeline theory for Pokemon if you want to get deep into rabbit holes, but I believe it's all in the same worlds. Like sometimes you'll hear people reference other regions, like past regions.
Yeah, because at least in Gen 5, you have... I don't remember what it's called. I don't think it's the Battle Tower, but it's something similar where you can battle famous trainers from all the games preceding it. And I want to say at some point, did Blue and Red make an appearance in Sun and Moon?
Yeah, they did.
Or am I just okay? I was gonna say I really feel like that happens. So that at least gives you Alola, Johto, and Kanto.
My whole so the reason why I didn't pick Pokemon is because you could literally catch the god of Pokemon, and that just seems pretty wild to me. And so the idea is that even though you're on this island, there is somebody who is actively trying to flood the world. I can't remember. It's not Team Rocket.
That's Gen 3. That'd be Team Aqua.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Team Aqua is literally trying to flood the whole world. So I guess it doesn't matter which one you're at, which region you're at, because
that's a good point.
Not just the region.
Yeah.
World domination.
But I was thinking ignorance is bliss. So, you just think it's some crazy tsunami, tsunamis crashing along the region or something. And at least you're on a tropical island, so you'd have boats and things like that if that happens. You'd be more prepared than if you're in the France equivalent.
I expect you
but you get roller skate to the France equivalent.
True.
So
I actually really liked that generation.
Ooh, we'll have to save ranking the generations for something else, but I disagree.
I didn't say it was my favorite, but I
know. I just didn't even like it. So
yeah, I know it's a hot take to like X and Y, but I thought it was a good introduction to 3D, and I enjoyed it. Unlike Sun and Moon, but Sun and Moon would be a great place to live.
It would be a great place to live. Yeah, cool. My number 3 was the Kingdom of Archenland from the Chronicles of Narnia.
Is that what it's called? It's not just called Narnia?
So Narnia is no. You are correct. Narnia is, in fact, Narnia, and it is one of the, if not the most northern portion of the landmass. But as you go south, you hit Archenland, which is a primarily, to my understanding, I don't have any kind of hardcore lore on this. Just read the main series books, so I don't know if there's any other sources that might contradict this. But from the main series books, Archenland is a primarily human settlement that's always at peace with Narnia. And so I essentially was it'd be cool to live in Narnia, but I think I'd still rather live with people than with talking dogs. That's cool, but I feel like the novelty would wear off. And then I went for Archenland because it's still just the crazy wonder of Narnia as a setting, but the bad guys are a full desert away from you, and you're at peace with Aslan's chosen people. So you're going to be okay in the end. And there's dwarves who cook bacon and eggs and mushrooms. I'm all about that. So,
but can you bake bread?
Yeah, I imagine so. Lucian could be my neighbor easy enough.
Ooh. There we go. Also, the idea of dwarves doing it. Do you have a kink connected to this? Do you like short people cooking you breakfast?
No, it just happened to specifically be a dwarf in the text. So
okay.
One of my favorite Chronicle of Narnia books is The Horse and His Boy, which is about this kid getting out of I can remember the leader of the area is the Tizrock, but I can't remember what the kingdom is called off the top of my head all of a sudden. I've just completely blanked on it. But he's got to basically get out of this kingdom. He's about to be sold as a slave, and he finds a talking horse. The talking horse is like, hey, we can get away to Narnia together. And so they're trying to escape. And then along the way, they unearth this plan that I don't know if it's the Tizrock or the son of the Tizrock, but one of the bad guys is planning to attack Archenland and then use that as a springboard into Narnia. And it, the second half or the last third kind of becomes this race against the clock to get to Archenland in time to give them the news. And so Archenland is pretty well featured. And there's a scene where after they've gotten rid of the desert, I think the main character Shasta passes out and he wakes up and he's in a house, and the line is something to the effect of, I don't know if you've ever smelled bacon and eggs and mushrooms all frying together in the same pan, but he just like Lewis just makes it sound like the greatest smelling breakfast of all time. And I really like bacon and eggs, and I really like fried in a pan mushrooms. So I imagine they'd taste delightful altogether. And that's just I've always wanted to have that meal ever since I read that description.
I can make you that meal. I just can't be short about doing it.
We'll just have to get you
Maybe.
Oversized like stoves and everything so you look short. Forced perspective.
I have to like reach up.
Yeah. I can imagine my wife, because she listens to this with me, and she's probably going to be. I'm calling it right now. She'll be like, "That's right, Michael," because she also really likes The Horse and His Boy. So, and I kind of give her crap about it. I haven't read it. I think I started listening to the audiobook as a kid, but never finished it. So I know a lot of people, I think, have said that it's kind of boring, but I could be wrong.
There's also, I am really, really hardcore about release order or publication order, not chronological order for Narnia.
Mm-hmm.
And amongst the reasons that I feel that way, besides just being like, hey, this is how the author intended it, stop mixing it up, is in the silver chair after all the events happen and there's, a big celebratory dinner at the end. They talk about all the stories that are being told, and they say that one of them is The Horse and His Boy, or was called The Horse and His Boy, but that's a story for another time. And then the next book is The Horse and His Boy. And if you read them in the order they try to sell them to you now, you don't get that fun little allusion to what's going to happen later.
Narnia's, I think, 4 series out from what I'm gonna read, so I'll read it eventually. But they're pretty short. You can buy.
Yeah, they're all essentially novellas.
Yeah, you can buy the whole like audio drama thing on Audible for $1 and my mom had those CDs as a kid, so I was gonna listen to that. But I think it's only like 35, 37 hours, which the book I'm listening to now is about that length for one book, so it should be easy.
I will say the first 2, I know they're kind of classics, but I think they are dead boring. And it's only after Peter and Susan take off that those books actually get good. I know your mother-in-law has strongly differing opinions on this, but she's not on this podcast. So.
Yet.
Aha. Yet, yeah.
Also, does she listen to this podcast?
She does.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome.
You've seen her comment on YouTube videos.
Oh,
the hand in the mail debacle we tackled last week.
Yes. I completely forgot.
That's okay.
All right. Boop, boop, boop. All right, yeah. So my number 3, sticking with the weebs, is Hunter x Hunter. You guys know anything about Hunter x Hunter?
I know it is one of Lucas's favorite animes, or at least it was back when we talked.
I also didn't know Lucas watched anime, so that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
big time anime.
Big anime guy.
That's crazy how we never really talked about that. When instead we talked about his Fight Club. All right, so Hunter x Hunter. So like the reason why I picked Hunter x Hunter is because of the power system, and so it's super simple. So it's called Nen, and it's pretty much just like having a life force, and then everybody has a life force, right? Alive, basically. And so the only difference is that you have to have your life force awakened to use it. And so in hopes of, in a perfect world, I would run across somebody who could use Nen. I'll wake up my Nen, and then I could do like superhuman stuff. And so everybody has there's categories of different, everybody is a different type of Nen user. And there's emitter, there's enhancer. So pretty much an enhancer is super strength. Emitter is shooting out fireballs, super simple stuff like that. I really didn't think about which one I would want to be, but I guess it doesn't matter because I think all of them would be good to bake bread. But there's
Fireball.
thing called fire, basically, right? I guess that would be the easiest to
Fireball.
to say.
No, it's lightning bolt.
The fire's gone out. Shout out to our friends at Fireball. Fireball is a 3rd level evocation.
Oh, so pretty much in the beginning of the series, the main character wants to get his hunter license to find his dad. To get your hunter license, it's pretty much I don't even know. You get to go anywhere you want to if you have a hunter license. Everybody respects you. You're pretty much just the top dog, and you get to do whatever you want. And so I would find somebody that could open my net, get my hunter license, and then pretty much just do whatever I want. And then those hunter license sell for $1 million. So right when I retire, I would sell my hunter license. I would bake bread.
Lucian, do you want to bake bread? Do you want to change your career? Just out of curiosity.
I mean, to be
He's
fair,
been working.
though, I am cooking in my job.
What are you baking?
I'm already pretty much I'm not baking, no. It's hard to do a portable oven. Portable ovens kind of suck.
Mm-hmm. No, I just expect you to build a bread oven everywhere you go.
My wife wanted to build a bread oven for our wedding, and I was like, "This is a ridiculous thing you're talking about."
Would
But
they
we
have
wanted to
let
do
that
fresh
happen
pizzas.
at camp or no?
Honestly, like you never. I feel like with Bob, it was like his last year. I think I could have got. Yeah, I think so. I mean, Sam was is an amazing cook, so it's like it feels like a wasteful situation.
Yeah,
Dude, that
I
guy
personally,
seriously is insanely good. Like I was there. I was just there for Dave's funeral. That's the only time I've been there since Sam was there, and that was like my takeaway. Like I sat down, I had one plate, and I was like, "Whoa, they have good food here now."
yeah,
Like the food was
Yeah,
never
I've been to
bad, but it was
quite-
never restaurant quality like that.
the bacon was always solid. I never missed that, but
his chicken Sammy's
yeah, I've been
too.
to a couple weddings, and I think I don't know, I'm a little biased, but I think my wedding food was the best.
I will say, for those that don't like cake, wedding donuts are the way to go.
Wedding donuts were pretty fantastic.
My wife does not like
Yeah,
cake,
they
so
were
we
solid.
did that. From the now gone Dom's Donuts of Ipsy.
Oh, it's gone now.
I believe, Lucian, were you the one that told me they closed, or was it someone else that told me they closed?
I did. Let me get my secretary to do some research. All right, my research has come back, and it looks like they are open.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the difference is that they're not open 24 hours. They're only open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Thanks, COVID.
But I
Right,
think
dude.
I was there around 8 o'clock and was like, oh, this is closed forever now.
COVID ruined
There's
24-hour places.
Yeah, me and Hot Kyle were trying to get a pizza after shooting yesterday, and everything was just freaking closed, and we were upset. We were able to get one, but like it was just crazy. It's like this is the time people want pizza. And
How late were you guys shooting?
we shot to like 7:30, and then we went to this bar out in Detroit where there was like a filmmakers meeting, and it was actually legitimately one of the most fun things I've ever done. I ended up hitting it off with some people that I was like, like one of them I was like, this guy seems a little out there, and he ended up being really cool. And then the owner of the bar was like ridiculously successful, and like normally I'd just be like, that's intimidating, I'm not going to talk to you. But the three of us ended up hitting it off, and just like Kyle was going around and like actually networking and pitching the movie, and I was just sitting there talking about Bo Burnham and other things that we all liked, and it was great. And then we were like, all right, well, it's a work night, so we should probably eat a pizza and watch a whole movie and then call it a night. But yeah, 24-hour places, rip.
For my number two, it's my only sci-fi universe, but I went with the Citadel from Mass Effect. So basically, picture New York City, but it's on a giant floating like cylinder, and that's what the Citadel is. I think they said there's like 13 million people from all over the universe that live there. There's just so much cool like architecture and like views, and people like driving space cars in it. And I feel like for most sci-fi places, it's relatively safe. I mean, as long as you're not at the end of the world, you know, the end of the last battle, but at the end of the world, you're going to be good. But if you're there, I'm sorry, then you're not so good. Yeah, there's a lot of good, like, not a good police force that keeps a lot of people in line. There still are some shady deals. But then there's a little bit of everything. You know, you can bake bread, you can go shopping, you can hit the clubs and everything. It seems like it has a little bit of everything, and it's a generally peaceful place. So I think that would be a fun place to live, especially like, so I was thinking of other sci-fi things, and like I wouldn't really want to be someone in Star Wars. I mean, I guess I would be like a Jedi wouldn't be too bad unless you're, again, part of like Order 66, but it seems like a lot of sci-fis almost have a dystopian taste to them, or a splash to them. So I feel like as far as Mass Effect goes, it's a pretty relatively safe area.
Citadel, it's like a key to something, right? I'm trying to look it up now.
Yeah, it's like has something to do with the catalyst, I believe. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I played 3.
Like the old people made it, right?
Yeah, so it was
Like
some past like era, some past civilization that's been all wiped out, made the Citadel, and then like the alien species start to find it, and then the humans find it. And eventually the big bads will come by and try to wipe out all the civilizations. So that obviously you don't want to be anywhere in the world during that time. Well, actually you want to be on a non-technologically advanced planet, because they don't attack people that aren't technologically advanced. So that's how a lot of the other races survive, because at the time when they attacked, they weren't advanced back then.
What a good series. Except for number 3. But 1 and 2, man, really did it for me.
I like 3, and I didn't think the ending was as bad as everyone made it out to be.
I accidentally shot the kid, and he got mad.
That same year, Assassin's Creed 3 came out, and I think the ending was a whole lot worse. And I played that first, so I didn't think it was too bad. It wasn't like fantastic, but would recommend.
I would recommend, and
I might just have to, so I can like add to the conversation whenever it comes up on the pod. This is back-to-back
Yeah,
week
we
for
have
us.
talked about it quite often.
All right, we on number 2?
Number 2.
So my number 2, this was my alternate Earth. I went with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And honestly, I feel like it essentially explains itself. Because if you're not the main character, then you get to have a family. And outside of, the occasional war, which over the span of history, not that frequent, there's really not that much to worry about. You do your thing, you go to school, you can fly a broom, you can summon food to you if you know where it is, you can create more of it if you already have some. I honestly don't understand why they need money in this civilization. It's just you can basically just take care of yourself with a wand and some work, and it sounds like you can also have just a ton of fun along the way. And yeah, there's not a whole lot that needs to be said,
especially if you're in America during the time of Harry Potter. Then you're
right.
good.
You don't even have to worry about it. Britain seems to be where all the worst stuff happens.
Shout out to all the ladies that handle all their problems with wands.
One joke I think is funny is that like Voldemort wouldn't have succeeded in America because they would have just cast gun on him and just shot him. Because like you never see the killing curse going through. I don't think it can go through windows. At least you never see it, read it, or see it in the books or movies. So you just go out there with with a gun. All your problems are over. Dark Lord dealt with. He'll come back. Just shoot him again.
For real, like he's not going to do much against sniper rifle.
It's crazy though to have it's like the power. I was thinking about this, like the power system in Harry Potter. I think it's wild, right? It's either you can be a wizard, or you just don't have the bloodline, right? Like,
well, I mean,
or you just happen to have honestly, it doesn't make a ton of sense because it's like
sporadic.
You can be born by wizards and still be a squib. I have a theory that squibs just have a very niche and unexciting magical ability, but we can save that for another time. And then you can be a Muggle born, where you had 2 non-magical parents, but there you are. You just have magic powers,
like Hermione.
Yeah. So it's all over the place. It's just whatever the plot dictates.
And then you don't have to train to learn a spell.
Well, right? you do a little bit because it's Leviosa.
Yeah, you got to get the wand movement and the pronunciation right. And then it also just seems like you just there's some spells where it's like he just had to practice over and over to learn it.
Right.
And it's never because it's a very soft magic system. It's not like if you take Aragon where it's like everything is the amount of energy it takes to do this, not with magic, is the same amount of energy it takes to do it with magic, and you have to know the word. And these are the conditions, you can kind of just know what's going to happen. Whereas Harry Potter, again, it's kind of just like, what does the plot require? Okay, cool.
But I was thinking about in Harry Potter, you don't pass out from casting too many spells, right?
You can just go.
Well, Harry did one time in book 3. Or at least he did in the movie.
Out, right?
That's fair. I guess that. Well, yeah. It's because guys.
Yeah, he passes out from the first time. He passes out from the Dementors coming in, and then the second time he's the one who casts the spell. Yeah. So spoilers.
Right. Spoilers if you haven't seen that 20-year-old. Probably a 20-year-old book, over 20 years now.
It's just crazy to think that how much practice do you have to do to literally learn the killing curse?
You just have to have mean it in your heart, I believe, is the.
Yeah, because there's a scene where Moody, he says you could all point your wands at me and say the words right now, and I doubt I'd get so much as a nosebleed.
My dog's being.
So there's something that goes into it. It's never well explained, but there is more than just saying the word and pointing the wand.
Are you a Harry Potter fan?
Oh, I read. Yeah, dude, I put them down at least the whole series at least twice a year.
Wow.
Luna, stop.
That's cool.
I'll do. I've done entire read throughs just to try and answer a single question. I did one read where I was like, all right, let's figure it out just using the text. Is Hermione black or not? I read through it.
What?
I think there's a genuine text-based argument to be made that at the very least Hermione is not white.
It's a question I never thought.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's a thing because they when they cast her in the Cursed Child, they cast I have no clue who they cast, but Hermione was black for that, and people got all up in arms about it. I was like, why don't we just go to the text and see? And I was like, low key, at best this is intentionally vague, but there's a lot of comments about really dark tan skin and really thick curly hair where I was like, that could pass. Yeah, she could technically just be tan and have thick hair, but the way she's described, I think it was intentionally left vague so anybody because she's the main female character, anybody could kind of just picture themselves as her.
Sure,
But what the text actually says, I think kind of makes a case for it. But then when you look at the covers, she's lily white on the covers. So I don't know.
I have no problem with
I
it.
walked away
just
with inconclusive, but yeah.
I've just never thought of that, but yeah.
I love the I don't know. I feel like it's like the biblical
That's
energy
exactly what it was.
that you put into Harry Potter, and I don't know, it's inspiring.
I say pretty regularly that if I read the Bible with the tenacity and the intentionality with which I read Harry Potter, I'd be the fucking Pope by now.
You'd have to be Catholic, but yeah.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, they'd be okay with it. But
no,
you know
the
the
first
stuff.
non-Catholic Pope.
I'd be the first Protestant Pope.
There we go.
And where would the Catholic Church be without the popes?
Lucian, were you allowed to read Harry Potter as a kid? I wasn't. It was, witchcraft and wizardry. It was okay in Narnia and Lord of the Rings, but Harry Potter, no, can't do it.
That's the thing that annoys me most is, sorry, answer the question.
No.
I'll hit that tirade another time.
Yeah, I wasn't raised a Christian. And my parents, not my parents, they were my uncle and aunt, and they were in a rock band at the time. I was watching Freddy versus Jason at a very young age. Like, the only thing that I remember not being able to listen to was the Eminem album. I think it's because it was actively talking about like killing your mom.
Oh, like the Slim Shady LP?
Yeah, that's the
wild.
only thing. I remember being in a basement, and it was a very cloudy basement. And I won't be too much detail, but I remember they were like, "Hey, I think you're going to start to understand what these lyrics are, so you're going to have to go upstairs." And I think that's the only discernment that I've ever gotten as a young child. So
Yes.
I was able to listen to and watch anything.
Yeah, that's when I would just go over to my buddy's house because, he was allowed to watch anything or play any video game,
I wasn't for the longest time, and I think I was in high school, and I was like, "Mom, I want to at least check out these movies, see what they're about." She was like, "Fine, but I'm going to watch them with you." And we watched the first two, and I was like, "I think I'm going to read the books." And I picked up the third book, and I was loving it. And halfway through, my mom, she picked it up, read the first chapter, read the dust cover, flipped to the back. I was like, I knew Sirius Black was a good guy. And I was like, what is your f***ing problem? So I just watched the third movie, and then I read the rest of the books from there. But my entire family got into him because of that, and now they're all like hardcore Harry Potter fans.
Yeah. Isn't your dad isn't he pretty anti-movie?
Me and him both are staunchly anti-movies. I think that the only two Harry Potter movies that were good adaptations of the book, which is the only reason we don't like the movies, is because we think they're bad adaptations of the books. The only two are the first two are actually pretty faithful adaptations of the book, but there's also kind of two, you could argue 1, 2, and 4 as which one is the worst two. So it's like, oh, cool, you did faithful adaptations of at best the 5th and 6th best. So what? And then once the books get good, it's like, yeah, but the movies do a terrible job. Like, they get the basic plot across, but the great character work and all the really intricate detail and storytelling just gets lost. And I've actually been pitching for 10 years that somebody should make a TV show, and HBO has been the company I've been personally championing. I know, and everyone's upset about it. I'm over here like,
I hope it's animated. I feel like it could be a very well done animated series, like 2D animation.
That'd be interesting.
And then you have to worry about the actors, aging up too much.
That's true. Actually, a really good idea.
It could dethrone the Batman as the best anime.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The Batman is anime, but Batman the Animated Series is not.
Yep.
Sorry, I just didn't remember what it was called.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to throw you an alley-oop, and then
They're both really good, but what's the difference?
Instead of giving you alley-oop, I just threw the freaking baseball in the crowd.
I think the reason I don't have the same disdain for the Harry Potter movies is because I watched the movies first. It's like Lord of the Rings. I watched the movies first and then went back and read the books. So I don't have especially for Lord of the Rings, it works really well. But Harry Potter,
Lord of the Rings is better as a movie, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Tolkien takes so many lore tangent breaks that it kills the pace for me, and I don't care anymore.
The only movie that I thought was atrocious from the books was 5, because the 5th movie was so bad. And I didn't even like the second movie, and you said it was a faithful adaptation. I'll take your word for that, because I've only read through the books once, but I got bored in 2 and 5. No, for the movies. The movies.
For Harry Potter movies?
Yeah, the 5th book was so much better than the movie. The movie just sucked.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's also the biggest book, so it makes sense that it'd be the worst movie.
I thought Deathly Hallows was the biggest book. I don't know.
No, 5 is...
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. 5's like in the 40s of hours, I feel, or 5 is substantially longer as an audiobook. And I also, it's big, beefy. 6 and 7 slimmed down a little bit. They're still pretty hefty. 5's on another level.
Book 5 is 26 hours and 28 minutes.
Oh.
Book 7 is 21 hours.
Yeah. That's almost an extra 20%.
My God, she like doubled her book length between 3 and 4.
He fired her editor between 3 and 4.
Huh.
Oh wow.
And you can tell because it's like the book's just like I think the first one is 76,000 words. The next one is a little bit longer. I only know that because that's like my baseline for a novel is if I'm writing something, I want it to be at least as long as Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And then 3 is a little bit bigger, and then 4 is like doubles. And they all stay about that size the rest of the way through.
And I redact my statement of my wife liking Avatar the best. I think Avatar might be 2, and then Harry Potter might be 1, because she also loves those books.
They good.
What do you got for us, Lou? Number 2.
Oh, my number 2. All right. My number 2. My number 1 and 2 have already been talked about, but I'll see what spin that I can do on it. So, my number 2 is Avatar and the Last Airbenders, The Four Nations. Yeah. So I mean,
what do you think you'd be?
I honestly I believe that I think I would be in my heart I wanted to be a waterbender, but I think my big ass would be a earthbender.
Yeah, I get
this
that.
This is what it is.
I've always really liked firebending, but everyone's just like, yeah, you'd be an earthbender. I'm like, what flames?
Man, you guys. Have you? The uncle's the uncle has a sturdy connection to the ground, and he's a killer firebender.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, I mean, he is just got old, like in his younger age.
In the jail, though, he is jacked.
It's true. He's a beast. But I could see Rob as a firebender.
Yes,
it might just be the red hair giving him some extra credit, but
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
That's all I needed. I can sleep easy now.
I can see you.
Your ribs are trash, but you'd be a good firebender.
Yeah. So I don't think at any point the Fire Nation ever got trashed, because after Prince Zuko took over, the Fire Nation still did well. I don't think at any point the Fire Nation ever was looking bad, and so I would either like to live in the Fire Nation or Bon Sing Se. And I would like to actually work for Uncle Iroh in the tea shop.
Ooh, that feels right up your alley.
Bake little biscuits for your tea. Shout out to the UK people out there.
I believe they call them crumpets in the UK.
No, biscuits.
Biscuits like cookies.
Biscuits or cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're biscuits.
Oh, so got it. You'd be saying you're using it correctly. I got you.
Yeah. I would bake cookies, like little cookies for the teas, and then like maybe afterwards I would bake like breads and stuff. But yep, that'd be me.
I gotta say, I think Zuko has a case for being like a top 5 all-time fictional character.
Yeah, I really like him. I don't really like what they did with him in Korra. From what I remember, I never finished it because it was just I heard the first season was the best, and I didn't like the first season, so I wasn't gonna set myself through the rest. But
I love Avatar so much I had to finish it.
What do you think?
I hated it. My wife didn't mind it. I just like the world building in itself. I think carried it through.
Yeah,
the world was incredible. I loved the setting. I liked the first season a lot. I was expecting to like it more than Last Airbender, and then they wrapped up all of the plot lines that I expected to run through the whole series and just kind of reset the whole thing at the end. And I was just like, why would you do that? And I just walked away. I was like, I'm done. I'm not watching you restart the show from scratch. There's no point. Just start a new show at that point.
It's cool that you said that. It's because the reason why is because they didn't know that they would survive the next season.
Yeah. I legitimately thought they were canceled. Like that's what when they wrapped everything up, I was like, oh, they must have got canceled. So they're just trying to do their best. And then the next season came out, and I was like, you have nowhere to go. You just at that point, I'd honestly, I wish they'd have just I'd rather get stuck with a cliffhanger and hope you get picked up than get picked back up and have to restart from scratch.
So my number 1, I know you guys don't know anything about. Me talking to all the people listening. The author of this world didn't actually have a specific name for it, but it's been dubbed the Westlands or Randland. It's the world from Wheel of Time. And I, being a big nerd, and especially a history nerd, I always think it would be cool to go back and live in medieval time periods. But then you look at it and it would actually suck a lot. So I tried to think of...
Oh yeah, no fun.
I try to think of what worlds would have a higher life expectancy, and also you're not going to get raided by orcs or whatever, or other bad nations and all that. And I think the Wheel of Time is the best world. Like we've said kind of in all of them, as long as you're not born within a specific set of time, you're going to have like a pretty good and basic life. And it's really cool because they do have like their magic system. They have healers. So a lot of the common illnesses, you can just go to the Aes Sedai and get cured. And as long as I'm not the main character or a male magic user, I could live pretty happily. One thing I think is cool, to kind of explain on the male magic users, is there's their magic system is split by gender. There's a female half and a male half. And at some point back in the history, the Dark One, the big bad, tainted the male half of magic. So all the male magic users will eventually go insane after they use it for long enough. So the Aes Sedai end up hunting down these male magic users and basically cutting them off for their magic, which like leads them into depression and all that, and they have a pretty high suicide rate. So as long as I'm not a male magic user, I will be happy. You know, you can live, you can go to the Aes Sedai, they'll heal you and all that. And for the most part, there's not a lot of wars. And you could just live like that peaceful medieval life, simple life that you think it would be like, but then without the harsh realities of what it would actually be like. So that is my number one.
Is it also a TV show?
Yeah, we don't talk about the TV show.
Okay.
How the heck in today's political climate are they remaking a show that has gender binary locked magic system?
It is they stray so far from the book. I think they still have that gender magic system, but basically one of the side characters is the strong female magic user that like finds the dragon reborn and all that. It becomes like the main character instead of the actual main character. He's kind of pushed to the side.
Yeah, because I could you'd think people would be livid if they were faithful to that when they adapted it. That's adapted. Yeah. There we go.
I actually think I think it's a really cool thing, and I've kind of like world build my own world. I would have it so like you could learn, like each gender could learn either magic system, but men tend to gravitate towards this one. They're naturally better at it, while women go to this one. And I think it's a cool concept I never thought of. It came out in the 90s, so it was okay back then. For the Amazon show, they like came out with the season 2 poster, and you see like the strong female character, and it's like front and center. And then it's funny on Reddit, they're like, oh, you can see the main character in the back of the show. He's on the side. But one thing I guess they can get away with. So the premise of the Wheel of Time is that there's this life exists on this giant weave, and the wheel turns and spits out the weaves, and it's a cyclical world. So like ages come and pass, and basically they believe it's like everyone will eventually be reincarnated and all that. So they, instead of like the books, like that was one era, one turn of the wheel. This is like a different one, so it's another turn of the wheel. So I guess they can kind of justify some of the changes that way, but.
That's very Stephen King-esque.
Yeah. I think I watched the first episode, and I was only on book 5. I just started book 14 yesterday. I'm already like 5 hours in.
Are you into the Sanderson chunk?
So Sanderson actually, the author for Wheel of Time died, and Sanderson finished the Wheel of Time because he was a big fan. So yeah, I'm in the second of the 3 Sanderson books, and then after I'm done with Wheel of Time, I'll go to Stormlight. Or the Cathmere, which is his whole world. What was I saying?
Are they as good as the other ones?
Yeah, I haven't really. There's been a very few instances where I've like, maybe that character their voice sounds a little different, but for the most part, it's a pretty seamless transition, which mad props to him. He's already probably like the most prolific fantasy writer of the modern fantasy. And growing up, he said like, he was there each book when it came out. He was there reading it. So he already loved the series, which I think if you're going to take over a series, you have to have love for it and what it did when it's done. And he did a very good job voicing the characters. And even like he's been criticism. He's like, oh, my Matt voice wasn't quite where Robert Jordan had it. But I think he's done a good job so far.
Like to be able to have the series be finished, just you let that slide.
Yeah. And it's crazy.
We should have him finish the Kingkiller Chronicles too.
Yeah, or Game of Thrones. Back to the show. Sorry, I got tangent. I think I was on book 5, and I tried watching the first episode, and I already knew from reading online that it was awful, especially if you knew the source material. I couldn't make it through the first 30 minutes of the first episode of the show, and I wasn't even like truly into the depths of the series.
I've heard some people who've never touched the books were really into the show, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a good
There's so much content on there. It's not nowhere near the top of the list.
Yeah.
I'll go rewatch something for the 100th time instead of starting something new.
Yeah. I recommend. It's a very daunting, but I have loved all the books. Well, I've loved all but one of the books so far. In a 15-book series, I would say that's a pretty good hit ratio.
Pretty good success rate, yeah. Oh, right. We're on number one, right?
Yep.
I picked kind of a no-brainer, I think, as my number one. I feel like everybody probably at least considered it. That would be the Baku home planet from Star Trek. No, nobody? Oh, huh. Well, so the Baku home planet is featured in Star Trek 9 or 10. It is it's from Insurrection, and essentially it's this planet that is surrounded by this gaseous cloud substance, and it essentially gives you endless long life, and it gives you rejuvenation. So you not only do you stay alive, you stay healthy. I don't know if it's endless long life, but you're just constantly your body is taking care of itself. And so even if you go back to this planet, you go to this planet as an older person, your body will start to heal and return to its kind of peak form. And then just the culture there is very kind of laid back. It's almost like Amish living, minus the religious aspects, where it's just, peace and everybody getting along, and we're all just living a simple life. And that just sounds excellent to me, because I'm almost 30, and I'm not going to try and claim I'm some brilliant, wise person, but if I could just have my level of wisdom and discernment that I have now applied when I was 18, it's, man, what I could do with this amount of knowledge and a body that's stretched that much farther. And to be able to just stay in a place where youth isn't wasted on the young, and you can learn these lessons and then actually apply them in a way that's a little more tangible, I think that is about as good as it gets.
So is everyone there like humans, or is it an alien species?
They are all humanoid. They are all played by human actors, and there is no makeup. So if they are aliens, they are the type of Star Trek aliens that are basically just humans. There's no
answer, because you could have just said humans.
Well, yeah, Star Trek's a daunting topic to try and even begin to wrap your head around. So I think they're essentially humans. I could be way off. It's been a minute since I've seen Insurrection. It's not one of the more critically acclaimed ones, but I actually really like it. So I might go back.
I will say, for Star Trek, I don't know much about it, but I think the holodeck sounds cool as all get out.
Holodeck's badass, man. Holodeck is a good time, and technically speaking, in the time of the movie, and going after the movie, there is leftover holodeck technology on the planet, so you could make use of that if you so desired.
Yeah.
But also, you basically just have this gorgeous planet where it's like, man, you could just go hike in the mountains and just swim in the lakes and do your thing all the time. And I really don't think you'd get too bored if you could just have, just the beautiful vistas that the planet offers, and then just the physical ability to be constantly going off and doing stuff in nature. I don't think I'd get bored at all. I don't even know that I'd need the holodeck.
Bread bakeability scale, where's it at?
10.
Okay.
10.
That's how I'm going to start rating worlds now. What's
fresh
your bread
wheat on not on tap, but it's on hand. You just go out, you farm your own ingredients. You make it'd be organic.
Ooh, could upcharge it.
It's good to know. I don't want to. If you guys are going to write stories, I don't want any story where you can't bake bread in it. I don't want to hear it.
Well, in my novel, you can make bread. So
I haven't really given it any thought, but technically there have been no rules implemented in anything I've ever written that would deter the baking of bread.
Lucian, just because you said that, I'm going to make a thread where bread is there's no bread in the world. I'll make it depressing for you.
And watch the people in that universe crumble.
Yeah.
Societies will fall.
I mean, for real, no bread would be rough.
And even brown rice bread for your celiac people. It's insane. All right.
And then you also have the Baku home planet, right? Because your number 1 and 2 are already taken.
No, but close though. I've never been a Star Trek fan, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's not for everybody. You gotta be pretty intellectual. Yeah. It's really just for smart people.
Did you just call him stupid?
I mean, to be fair, honestly, kinda. Yeah. I mean,
it was a joke. I didn't mean it, but yes, I absolutely just called him stupid.
You don't like Rick and Morty because you don't
understand about reading
it.
Books, and I was like, ooh, the only book I read, I think, this whole year is the Bible. I don't think I didn't pick up a book at all this year. I still got some time.
You proofread some of, there weren't any of the books, but you proofread some of my work, so there's that.
Was it this year?
I think so. Yeah, I think the Revolutionary War one would have been earlier this year.
That was earlier this year. That was really good.
Thanks.
forgot about that.
I
That ending
wish
was-
I wish the publishers thought the same, but can't win them all. I'm a real writer because I got a rejection letter. Whoop whoop.
Did you frame it?
I have it hanging up on my wall.
You should frame it.
It makes
Frame
me
it, for
strive
sure.
to be better.
Hey, do you have a date on it?
I mean, it's just the rejection email, so there's a date on it.
Yeah, I would frame it and put a date on it for sure.
I'll make a copy and send it to you. I'll frame it.
I'll frame it for you and I'll send it back to you.
Thanks.
That's like my hand. All right, my number 1 is Harry Potter and the Wizarding World.
There we go.
I mean, I did a lot of research, man. The whole, I think I already said this, but the whole like One Earth really threw me off. It was so hard to pick which Earth I wanted to pick, but it's just like a non-brainer, man. I think the only difference though is I wouldn't graduate Hogwarts. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'd probably drop out second year.
At 11?
Honestly,
You can say, I'm done with this.
I'm done. Yeah, I'd be like, I mean, now that you said 11, I feel like that's aggressive. How many years do you get to
7, right?
7, yeah. It's essentially middle school and high school.
10 to 17.
Okay. I thought it was just, I guess that makes sense because Harry did not look teenager.
Lou's like, all right, I learned how to bake bread with magic. I'm out.
I would at least try to finish middle school. Wait, no, that is right. Junior year when the wizarding SATs would come up. That's
The
when
owls?
I'd drop out.
Oh yeah, 5th year. Yeah, that's.
I would drop out 5th year because I wouldn't. I need everything. But like, I try to look this up. Are people that was only Harry not allowed to use magic as a teenager?
No,
or is anybody?
anyone outside of the school cannot use magic. It's some law of underage magic or something.
Yeah, if you're
Like-
under 17. Yeah, I
I probably
wouldn't-
give you a page number and everything where it's on.
I can't quite give you a page number. I do a lot. I mostly do it through audiobooks. Hashtag low vision reading. I bet you that's actually a hashtag somewhere.
'Cause I was like, is that a hashtag? Are you part of
No,
the?
I made it up, but
Super
it
cute.
very well could be
I'll
real.
look on X.
I wonder how long it's going to be before X instead of Twitter stops being funny, just for its own merit. Yeah. So basically, if you have not yet, I don't know if it's you're under 17. Yeah, because you don't have to graduate because you graduate after you turn 17. So if you're under 17, you are not allowed to use magic outside of the home or outside of school. But if your parents are magic users, the spell that's essentially cast on you that alerts the government to you using magic really just it just detects magic in your vicinity. And so if you have magic parents, you can kind of get away with it because they can't tell who's casting the spell. But Harry can't because he one, his family he lives with already hates wizards, and then 2, it's technically illegal.
I didn't know that they cast a spell on you. And I'm assuming there's a way to like with the brothers, the redhead brothers.
Fred and George?
I feel like they would find a way to get rid of that spell.
Yeah, it is very much they don't really go into the trace too deeply, and I believe there's some slight plot shakiness.
Why don't they have that for the unforgivable curses? Just have it like a radar. Like if you pee in a pool, it turns blue. So just alert like the ministry where they are.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
you
don't
guys
know.
peed in a pool before?
Never.
Allegedly.
No.
I've never peed in a pool.
Wait, really?
No.
Respect.
I peed as a kid. I peed in a ton of pools. Not an adult. I will say, but when I turned 18, I let that pass behind. Continue. I'm sorry.
17, 364 days old.
Pissed in the pool for the last
in the
time.
pool.
Which houses are you guys?
Hufflepuff, sadly, I think.
What? Cut
that shit.
That is the most like most people are like, yeah, Hufflepuff. Yeah, we're the underdogs. But you're like, yeah, I'm a Hufflepuff. You're just ashamed?
I mean, like, what is it, a badger?
Yeah.
Also, yellow is just not my color. It's just like
Becca's gonna be so sad when she hears this. You'll probably get a text from her.
I just like I feel like everybody wants to be Gryffindor. Well, not
Gryffindor!
everybody.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They're just the loudest of the group.
Let's play a fun little game.
I already know your house.
Lou, what house do you think I'm in?
Assuming Ravenclaw.
Oh, I'll take it.
Slytherin.
Yeah,
Are you Slytherin?
all day.
Which Slytherin gets a bad rap, I will say.
I agree. And
I mean,
I mean, to be fair, she never writes in like a normal Slytherin character. So like is a bit of I would argue it's a small falter in the world building. There's things that people say that imply that there are just normal people who end up in Slytherin.
Ominous is pretty cool.
Ominous was from the game, yes?
Yeah. So he wasn't.
He honestly, I never finished the game, but he was pretty solid.
The biggest problem I have with the games is none of your decisions mattered. They wrote it in the way, so no matter what you
Oh my
chose,
gosh.
there was no weight, and it was disappointing.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like they made it try to feel like what you did mattered, and it absolutely did not.
I wanted to be running around killing dudes in the killing curse. I think like I used it with a professor once and said like, "Oh no, don't do that." But like I wanted like my skin, start losing my nose and everything. I wanted to just look evil and have all the students like scared of me. No, they're just like, can't use the killing curse in Hogwarts. I'm like, gosh dang it.
I gave up on that game when that one girl was talking crap about how better of a flyer she is.
Oh
I
yeah,
absolutely smoked her, and I was like, "This game sucks."
yeah. She
Yeah,
doesn't get
it
any better.
definitely it was a very wide and not very deep.
Exploring
Like,
the castle
that
was
game-
fun.
I'll tell you what, I'd say the first 15 hours easily were great. Where the wonder of how big the map was and how detailed it felt and just all there was to look at and explore, that was super cool. But once you kind of the gameplay loop was so bland and it was just such a basic game. There was really nothing to make it interesting. I thought the combat was almost really, really interesting, but just kind of fell a little short for me. Yeah, I wanted it to be so much better than it was. And I think the trick would have been doing less with it. Like, I think they tried to have a little bit for everybody instead they had just a little bit for everybody.
Do the wizards ever get the internet? Because that might be a deal breaker.
Not to my knowledge, but I think I'd be. Although realistically, you could definitely get the internet as a wizard because there are villages that are mixed wizard and non-wizard people. So if you just lived in a non-wizard area, you could get like all the Muggle stuff is there for the taking.
Well, but then you get shunned for using Muggle stuff. I mean, look at Arthur.
I don't know that I necessarily need to be in wizarding society so much as I just kind of want to be able to do the wizarding stuff.
I agree.
All right. Well, next week, I think Mike is going to be out. He is heading to Hollywood to shoot some big time movie.
Something like that.
So what we're doing is still up in the air. Lucia and I will bring the wives in. We're kind of discussing what that's going to look like. So it'll be a complete surprise when you're listening next week. Well, other than that, thank you for listening to this episode of the Top Podcast. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're on Spotify or Apple Music, give us a 5-star and leave us a review, and we'll read it on the podcast. And even if it's a 1-star review, as long as this is about Mike, he'll take it. You just want to feed that algorithm. Other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and may the force be with you.